Want to stay informed about what's happening in our community? Welcome to Consider the Source, where we break down the biggest stories of the week and hear more from our reporters bringing you the coverage. Remember that the Source is online all the time, and you can follow our coverage at stthomassource.com, stcroixsource.com, and stjohnsource.com. I'm your host, Adisha Penn. Let's get to the headlines. And topping the newscast, Governor Albert Bryan says the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's suspension of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority does not affect the more than $1.9 billion already obligated for disaster recovery and mitigation projects. Speaking Friday, Bryan said his administration has spent the week working with federal officials and that the White House is helping coordinate a meeting between the governor's team, HUD, and VIHFA as the agency appeals the suspension. Bryan described the action as an administrative matter involving the Housing Finance Authority itself, not existing disaster recovery funding, but warned it remains a serious issue because it could jeopardize the territory's ability to receive future federal housing and community development dollars if it isn't resolved. Here's more.
We have waited this long and spent a whole week meeting with federal officials to gain clarity from HUD. Here's what we know as of now. Those meetings were very productive, and I really want to thank the Trump administration, both the White House and the Department of Interior, for their assistance this far. I would also like to thank our lobbyists and our friends in Washington for all the assistance and support information they were able to share with us to help us gain clarity and understand this matter better. Now, I want you to understand that we are all working in concert to bring information, clarity, and hopefully someday soon a resolve to this matter. This morning, our friends in the White House are working to coordinate a meeting with our team, HFA, the Housing Finance Authority, and HUD. I would like to reiterate that the authority has already requested an appeal of the decision, and this meeting is to gain even further clarity on the full scope of the implications of the initial letter and the suspension. Throughout this process, we are asking everyone involved to have limited public comment. The temptation to politicize this issue with speculation and irresponsible rhetoric is an urge way too complicated to succumb to. This is a very complicated appeal process, and we want to preserve every opportunity to make sure we are successful.
The governor also urged Virgin Islanders and political candidates in particular to avoid speculation while the appeal is pending, saying public comments could complicate the process. Meanwhile, Delegate Stacey Plaskett says she's working with the governor and congressional leaders to help develop a plan acceptable to HUD. The Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority says it has already addressed many of the problems cited by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in its decision to suspend the agency from future federal funding programs pending an investigation. In its first public response, said since HUD's suspension letter was issued Monday, the authority said many of the findings referenced by the federal government stem from prior years and that significant corrective measures have already been implemented to strengthen internal controls, improve compliance, and enhance oversight. Interim Executive Director Valdez Shelford says VIHFA remains committed to working with HUD, has maintained ongoing communication with the agency, and will provide additional documentation to demonstrate the progress that's been made. HUD has accused the authority of widespread financial mismanagement, weak fraud controls, false certifications, and delays in spending disaster recovery funds. While a suspension does not affect existing grants, it could jeopardize the authority's ability to receive future federal funding while the investigation continues. VIHFA says it remains focused on minimizing disruptions to housing, disaster recovery, and community development programs while it appeals the suspension. The subject also came up at this week's WAPA board meeting, with CEO Carl Knight saying the utility has not yet seen any impacts from HUD's action suspending the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority from future federal funding transactions pending an investigation. Knight told the governing board Thursday that WAPA plans to move forward with projects already approved, including the propane terminal acquisition and generators for the Randolph-Harley power plant, saying he's not aware of any obstacles to accessing funds that have already been obligated. Knight acknowledged, however, that delays in accessing HUD-funded projects have been a long-standing issue, saying millions of dollars for grid improvements have been tied up in bureaucracy. He also warned customers to expect at least one more planned outage to complete the Feeder 13 bypass project before schools reopen, saying short-term disruptions are necessary to improve the reliability of the electrical system for years to come. Knight also told board members the utility continues to work with federal officials under its long-running environmental consent decree while separately trying to resolve its dispute with generator manufacturer Wärtsilä. Meanwhile, a proposed bill in Congress that could change birthright citizenship in the U.S. territories is drawing renewed attention in the Virgin Islands. Introduced by Virginia Congressman Morgan Griffith, the legislation would end automatic U.S. citizenship for children born in the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands beginning in 2027. If enacted, children born in those territories after that date would no longer automatically receive U.S. citizenship at birth under current law. The proposal follows the U.S. Supreme Court's recent decision reaffirming birthright citizenship for children born in the 50 states. But the court did not address the territories, where citizenship is granted through acts of Congress rather than directly under the Constitution. Supporters of the bill argue that means Congress has the authority to change the law, while opponents say doing so would fundamentally alter the rights of future generations born under the U.S. flag. The measure remains in the early stages of the legislative process and has not become law. In response, the nonprofit Right to Democracy has launched a new FAQ and community survey, saying it hopes to answer questions and gather feedback from people living in or born in the U.S. territories about a proposal that could have lasting implications for citizenship in the territories. Much more news on our VI Source sites and to come, but it's time for a quick break, so stay tuned. We've got more after these paid campaign messages.
People often ask me what I look for when deciding who should lead the Virgin Islands. My answer is simple. I look for character because every important decision a leader makes is a reflection of their values. I look for judgment when the decisions are difficult. I look for courage when doing the right thing isn't the easy thing. I look for compassion, the understanding that every policy, every budget decision, and every government action affects the lives of real people. I found those qualities in Donna Fred Gregory. Serving with Donna in the legislature gave me the opportunity to see her up close. I saw a leader who came prepared, a leader who understood the issues, a leader who rolled up her sleeves and did the work necessary to get results. I trust Donna's judgment because I've seen it in action. I respect her integrity because I've watched her make decisions based on what's right, not what's politically convenient. That's why I am proud to endorse Donna Fred Gregory for governor. She has earned my trust, my respect, and my vote.
I had the honor of introducing Tregenza Roach at the inauguration of his second term as Lieutenant Governor. In the years since, I've watched him modernize the systems under his office and bring national recognition to the work we do here at home. Today, I'm proud to endorse him for governor of our beloved Virgin Islands. When we choose our leaders, though, we have to ask the right questions. Does this person have integrity? Have their actions earned our trust? Do they put the good of our people above their own ambition? And have they chosen a running mate who reflects those same values? My fellow Virgin Islanders, Tregenza Roach checks every one of those boxes. And in Novell Francis, he has chosen a partner who shares them. After 50 years of serving you, I know the difference between those who serve with purpose and those who serve only the few. This is the team that serves with purpose. On August 1st, vote Roach Francis.
Welcome back. And it's time for us to check in with Source reporter Jesse Daly, who has details on what we can expect weather-wise in the days ahead.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Jesse Daly here, and welcome to your Virgin Island Source weekly weather update for this week, beginning Sunday, July 26th through next Saturday, August 1st. I can't believe we're almost into August. It is breezy out here today. I'm here at beautiful Christiansted Harbor. My friends, let's take a quick look at what we can expect across the territory regarding rainfall, regarding the marine conditions, and we'll of course take a look at what's going on out in the tropics. Okay, my friends, I hope you're doing very well out there. We are looking at a graphic courtesy of the Weather Channel, and we can expect to see a partly cloudy sky overall during the week. However, I do have some good news regarding the potential for some rainfall across the area, and any rainfall would be very beneficial for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, as both U.S. territories are experiencing drought conditions. Our friends at the National Weather Service in San Juan expect that there will be a combination of a tropical wave and an upper level area of low pressure that will bring increased chances of rain and thunderstorms from later in the day on Sunday into early in the week. And we could have some localized flooding across areas that do receive heavy rainfall. By Wednesday night, we should have drier air filter back into the region along with Saharan dust. Temperatures are expected to remain very warm, and a high heat index is possible this week. Breezy conditions will occur at times, mostly out of the east to east-southeast. Daytime high temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s Fahrenheit, around 31 degrees Celsius, and nighttime low temperatures will be in the upper 70s to low 80s Fahrenheit, around 26 degrees Celsius. Fire weather remains a concern, so please be safe out there. For our surfer, sailor, and swimmer friends out there, the current water temperature is approximately 85 degrees Fahrenheit, about 29 degrees Celsius. The National Weather Service explained that we'll have a moderate risk of rip currents overall throughout the week, and breezy conditions will occur along with the chance of showers and thunderstorms due to the passage of the tropical wave at the beginning of this week. So please be very careful if you're in or on the water. Finally, for our Tropic Watch as of Friday, July 24th, the National Hurricane Center does not expect cyclonic development in the next 7 days across the Atlantic Basin. According to NOAA's Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook, released on July 21st, the Atlantic Basin in general is forecast to remain relatively quiet in the coming weeks into August. The Pacific Basin is expected to stay more active, and if you happen to be traveling all the way to visit our friends over in the Hawaiian Islands, please be aware of Hurricane Fausto, which could affect the Hawaiian Islands in the coming days. As we know, things can change very quickly. Please make sure that you're staying prepared throughout hurricane season, and consider signing up for emergency alerts from the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency. My friends, thank you so much for watching this video. Please follow me over at the Source Weather page. That is where you'll find me hanging out at. And until we meet again, I hope you stay safe out there, and I hope you have some fun out there. And of course, as always, I hope to meet some of you out on island. And as always, I will keep an eye on the tropical skies, come rain or shine.
And voter turnout is already showing signs that this year's Democratic primary could be one of the busiest in recent history. More than 4,000 Democrats had cast early ballots as of Friday, according to the Virgin Islands election system. That's with nearly a week of early voting still remaining, and already within striking distance of the record set during the 2022 Democratic gubernatorial primary. The turnout comes as voters weigh one of the most crowded primary ballots in recent years, with contested races for governor and lieutenant governor, delegate to Congress, seats in the legislature, the Board of Elections, and the Board of Education. Election officials say 2,012 voters have already cast ballots on St. Croix, 1,965 on St. Thomas, and 87 on St. John. If the current pace continues, early voting could surpass the previous record before it closes Wednesday, July 29th, ahead of primary election day on August 1st. Supervisor of Elections, Carolyn Fox, says the process has been running efficiently and securely and is encouraging eligible voters to take advantage of the remaining days of early voting. In related news, the Virgin Islands Board of Elections has voted to hire independent legal counsel to defend itself in Brett McLafferty's federal lawsuit challenging his disqualification from the delegate to Congress race. The decision comes after Attorney General Gordon Ray advised the Justice Department would not represent either the Board of Elections or Supervisor of Elections, Carolyn Fox, saying doing so during an election year could undermine public confidence in the department's impartiality. McLafferty was removed from the ballot after election officials determined there were irregularities in his St. Croix nominating petitions, a decision the board upheld earlier this month in a 7-2 vote. He's now asking the federal court to restore his name to the ballot. During last Monday's emergency meeting, board members voted 8-1 to seek outside counsel as the case moves forward. The board is now considering several attorneys, and an evidentiary hearing is scheduled for August 26. The board also approved several measures aimed at increasing transparency ahead of next week's Democratic primary. During the meeting, members voted to begin publicly posting results tapes from voting machines at polling places immediately after polls close on Election Day, allowing voters and observers to compare those unofficial precinct totals with the final reported results. The board also voted to have all ballots, including those marked by hand, counted using the election system's DS200 tabulators. While some members argued hand-marked ballots should be counted manually, the majority said using the same tabulation process for every ballot would ensure consistency. Board members also agreed to develop a new random audit process to verify the accuracy of vote tabulators immediately after the election, directing Supervisor of Elections Carolyn Fox to bring recommendations back before primary day. The board is expected to finalize that policy at its next meeting on Tuesday. And it's time for a quick break, but stay tuned after these campaign messages.
Greetings, Virgin Islanders. This is Tregenza Roach.
And I'm Novel E. Francis Jr. For generations, Virgin Islanders have understood a simple truth. Change doesn't come from the top down. It comes from the bottom up. It comes from us.
Now, in these final days, you're going to hear a lot of campaign noise, a barrage of negative ads, attacks designed to distract you, to discourage you, to make you forget what's at stake.
Remember what this election is about. Selecting leadership that you can trust with your family's well-being and who will protect your children's future, not their own personal ambitions.
Early voting begins July 20th to July 29th. And on Saturday, August 1st, Novelli Francis Jr. and I ask that you please vote number 1 on your ballot. So make a plan to get to the polls, because when we show up, we win. Always serving you with purpose. One Virgin Islands.
Now let's go vote.
Power outages remain a way of life in the Virgin Islands. Families are tired of losing food and appliances, and businesses are frustrated with losing inventory and income. Yet our WAPA bills keep climbing. This is an unlivable situation that has to change. We will transform WAPA through a public-private partnership that will focus on improving power generation. We need relief now. Within our first 100 days, we will launch an emergency backup generation plan to stabilize the grid, complete with mobile battery systems. Keeping the lights on shouldn't be a luxury. Rodney and I have a path forward. Enough is enough. On August 1st, vote for Donna and Rodney, number 3 on your ballot. I'm Donna Fred Gregory, your candidate for governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I approve this message.
And finally, the next generation of Virgin Islands filmmakers took center stage this weekend as students from the University of the Virgin Islands Youth Moviemaking Workshop premiered their original short film, The Mother of the Tide. The coming-of-age adventure, set against the backdrop of John Burroughs Bay, blends Caribbean folklore, mystery, and suspense while exploring themes including bullying, mental health, resilience, and empathy. Over the course of 7 weeks, students learned every aspect of filmmaking, from screenwriting and cinematography to acting and editing, before bringing the original story to life. Organizers say the annual workshop is designed to help young people develop technical filmmaking skills while telling stories rooted in Virgin Islands culture and traditions. Take a look.
We need to talk.
Did you say something?
What's going on? Some touch right foot in that water. He knows you're watching.
It's been said that an unseen spirit lived beneath the waves. Until one day, the strangers came.
Thanks for joining us this week, and remember, there's also so much more to read on our VI Source sites. Log on and get your news with us first, and stay tuned on social for updates at the top of each hour. Keep informed, and until next time, I'm Adisha Penn.